Zohran Mamdani.
MSNBC held a town hall for Zohran Mamdani, and it did not go well for him at all. Zohran spoke to two different groups, the first being Trump supporters, and the second being wealthy New Yorkers who he wants to tax out of existence. So, as you can expect, both groups brutally humiliated Zohran. And even the host of the town hall gave Zohran a hard time by fact-checking literally everything he says.
You know, New York, for people for high earners in New York, rich folks, particularly high wage earners, is the highest tax jurisdiction in the country by far. In the world. Like there's literally nowhere in the world that the marginal rate on a high income earner is higher than here. And that includes the social democracies of Europe, includes places that have all sorts of services like you said. So at a certain point, is there a limit, right? Is there some point that you cross where you do start to pay some real economic costs?
I don't think that we are talking about that at this time. Frankly,
you just don't think we're near that limit?
I don't think that, when we talk about increasing personal income taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers by 2%, or we're talking about increasing the corporate tax on the most profitable corporations, a lot of times what we're talking about doesn't even come close to what the tax rates used to be.
What I find so funny about people like Zohran Mamdani and Hassan Piker is that these are motherfuckers that are rich. They are the very rich that they want to get out here and galvanize the poor to go eat. They are the same mofos that have generational wealth, and they're getting out here telling the average person that they should get this for free, that they should get that for free. We need to tax the rich. We need to do this for the rich. But these people are rich. So how do you not see the psyop? How do you not see that they're playing a game against you? Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. You can support uncensored conversations via Cash App or buying your girl a coffee. I just want to give a quick shout out to my first Faye ambassador. Shout out to Nefertiti. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you guys want to sign up for memberships or sign up to be an ambassador as well to receive a shout out, the link will be in the description down below. Let's say my parents have like $50 million in assets and, cash or whatever. What they want to do is before that inheritance can come to me, the state wants to then come in and get more money, because understand, you're already getting taxed, right? You get income, it gets taxed. You spend your money, it gets taxed. You keep your money, it gets taxed. They tax you at every turning point. So even when my people, if they had that type of money and they wanted to pass it down to me, they want to come back in and tax it again. What did they say? Up to 50%? It was something crazy like that, where they want to take 50% of what your family built and take it from you just because they passed away and it's passing down to you. Understand, these same type of taxes, somebody like a Zohran Mamdani would never have to live through that. You want to know why? Because he's not really an American. He can go hide his assets over there in fucking India, wherever the hell he's from. He can go hide his assets, his family heirloom, his family assets over there while they tax the out of yours. Let your family come up, and you are trying so hard to build generational wealth so that your children, your children's children don't have to worry. And they want to grab that money away from you. They want to take it away from you. But somebody like a Zohran Mamdani would never have to live through that. Why? Because they have a foot still in India or wherever the hell they're from. They can hide their assets there. When his parents pass away, guess what? They're going to make sure they pass away with their resources back in India or wherever he's from. I think he's from India, where your American ass, they're going to steal, they're going to push for legislation to steal from you, but they'll never have to live through that very same legislation they want to use against you. That is insane to me. And it's crazy to me that all these folks that voted for him, we want this for free. Eat the rich. Why aren't you asking him about all that wealth his family has? Why hasn't he redistributed the wealth that he has under his name and the wealth that his family has? They don't need all that money, as you guys put it. So why haven't they redistributed it? Why haven't they given you some of their pie that they have while they're telling you to eat everybody else's? Same with Hassan Piker. He's over here walking around in $5,000 shirts, $8,000 pants, while he's telling you how you need to eat the rich and how corporate greed is so bad, while he spends damn near your entire yearly salary on one outfit. These people are unserious. They're the very people that y'all say y'all hate, but because they give you a little lip service, then it's all good in the hood. It's perfectly fine, nothing to see here, because they give you a little bit of this. Have you no shame? Have you no dignity? have you no brain cells to rub together to see that they're playing you? Because who this is going to really hurt and affect is the middle class that is already dwindling. Really imagine this, because they love to hide all this conversation around, wealth and all this other stuff. They want to hide it behind, well, it's white supremacy. We're only attacking the white people. Imagine you as a foundational Black American, your ancestors planted seeds to grow wealth in your family, and your family has watered that seed. Watered it to the point where now you and yours are good. You have a couple million in assets, some in cash. Your family is good. You are on top of it. And now they want to come through with legislation to steal that from you while saying that the wealth disparity is all white supremacy. But guess what? They're going to still take it away from your Black ass, your foundational Black American, blood in the soil. Your ancestors bootstrapped their way up. They're not going to just use this legislation to take away from the white folks. They're going to use it to take away from you too. Understand, this is not to really help the people. It's not really going to help the poor people be better. Communism is never going to be the answer. Because as much as y'all say y'all don't trust the government, you want the government to be in control of where you live, what you eat, what you can do, where you can do it. Do you really want that? We already know that they're trying to push for bug protein to replace real the cows and pigs and the chickens and all these other animals we eat. They want to, instead of giving us the real deal Holyfield, they want to feed us bugs. We already know this to be true. They want to take away our ability to own property. That's why all these corporations like BlackRock are buying up everything and leasing it for renting it for astronomical prices, pricing us all out of the market. You try to go buy a house, you got to compete with big corporations to buy the damn house. They'll inflate the price so much that you can't afford it. A home that 20, 30 years ago, you would have been able to afford comfortably. Own nothing, be happy. That is what this motherfucker is trying to push forward, that you will own nothing, you will be happy, you will shut the fuck up. Guess what? They won't have to live in that reality. They'll still have their big mansions. They'll still have their nice condo apartments. They'll still have their real meats. They'll be able to eat good off the hog while you're over here eating bugs in a pod. That's another reason why they're pushing the whole tiny home thing, because they want us to get into a situation where we're all living in these little itty bitty pods or little itty bitty apartments, similar to how it is in China. I lived there. As much as they want to prop up China and say how great it is, a lot of the people living there are in tiny, cramped apartments, and it's very hard for them to use upward mobility. These folks feeding you communism and socialism, they won't be out there in the streets with you. They won't be down there getting the government food with you. They won't be in the government housing with you. They will still have their nice, expensive, luxurious lifestyles while you have nothing and no opportunity to climb out of that. That's why the welfare system is built the way that it is. It's not built to be a launching pad. It's not built for you to actually be able to climb your way out of it. You want to know why? Because if you are on welfare, let's say you're not a scammer, you're not trying to just get over on the system, you fell on hard times for whatever reason, and you are trying to get off of welfare. If you get a slight raise from your job, let's say you get a promotion and they give you an extra $1.50 on your paycheck, but now you're over that threshold where you no longer qualify for SNAP. Guess what? It's not that you make enough money to actually afford your groceries. You just make too much to be on the system. So now you're back at square one. You have a little bit more money coming in, but it's still not enough to support your family or to support yourself. So what do? They opt to not move upward, because at least they know they'll be able to feed their family. At least they know they'll have some form of housing. They're getting Section 8. They have not created a system that is supposed to catapult you into success. It's supposed to keep you there. That's how they want it. The Indian caste system, that's exactly what they want. And folks like this will be sitting up at the top telling you how you should be grateful, because that's exactly what they're going to throw in your face once they get all this government shit and everyone's on EBT or universal basic income, as they want to put it. They always got to rebrand it to make it sound better, to get people on board. It's not that I support murdering your babies in the womb. I'm just pro-choice. Let's use all these different phrases or renames. Oh, it's not that you're a PDF. Oh, it's a minor attracted person. Let's use all of this language to jazz up, to make something seem better than what it truly is. This is one of the biggest scams. And it's the very rich that y'all complain about feeding this lie to you. But because they give you some lip service, because he eats with his hands at one time on camera to make it seem like he's a third worlder for real, now y'all trust him. He's the very same rich person that y'all complain about. And he wants you to own nothing and be happy. The people that are really struggling in New York City right now are working class, mom and pop. They are destroying them. Zohran Mamdani is a fucking crook. Hassan Piker, crook. Because they're feeding you a reality that they will never live with you. You think Hassan Piker is going to be in the free grocery store? He's going to give up his assets and his money to live among the regular schmegular folks? No, the fuck he's not. He's going to continue to flaunt his $10,000 outfit in your face while you're struggling to pay your bills and giving him your time and your donations so that he can be richer while he's pandering to you about all the free stuff you deserve while he pays top dollar for all the nice things he has.
So the lady who corrected the host that New York City residents don't just pay the highest tax rate in the country, they pay the highest tax rate in the world, absolutely nukes Zohran in the next clip, so prepare for that. But Kami Mamdani admitted that there is no tax rate that he considers too high. There is no amount of authoritarian wealth seizure that he considers unfair. He was astonished at the premise that taxes could be too high on the rich. The host even mentions the very real economic reality of the law of diminishing returns, meaning if the tax rate is at 30%, you might be able to generate more revenue by increasing it to 35%. But if you increase it to say 75%, that will cause people to leave and you'll end up taking in less revenue than if the tax rate was at 30%.
And the crazy part about this is that they are now trying to push for legislation. If you leave, they want to take your money from you. Let's say you're not even clicked in with all this stuff going on and you just want to move. Let's say you just want to move your business to a different state because you just want to move to a different state. Not because of anything political, not because you're trying to escape. You just want to move. But guess what? Now they want to take half of what you own. They want to take half of what you built. They want to rob you before you leave because it's all about being punitive to the people that are trying to come up and build. That's what it is. It's not going to affect the people that y'all think it's going to affect. The super mega rich understand they have lawyers, they have financial advisors that keep them protected from things like this. The Mamdanis of the world, they have financial systems in place, financial advisors, lawyers, all set up to protect their wealth. It's the folks that are on the come up that are trying to build something that they are trying to rob and put them back in their place at the bottom. Folks like you and me, when we get our stuff together and we make some money and better ourselves, we're the people they want to rob. The folks that don't have all the loopholes to protect them. That's who. That's why we barely have a middle class, because that's who gets attacked with all these taxes. The middle class, the working class.
But Zohran completely ignores that because his goal isn't adhering to economic reality. It's not fiscal responsibility. It's about using the state's power to levy taxes to punish rich people for existing. And this is where that lady destroys him because that's clearly what he's doing.
She said, we're going to tax the rich. We're taxing the rich. You announced this new tax that's going to be on second homes worth over $5 million, I think.
Yes.
Catherine, I know that a lot of folks at the partnership were very nervous about the tax the rich agenda of the mayor. What do you think of this new tax?
Well, in general, taxes should not be presented as punitive. And I think generally the taxpayers feel that if they have a legitimate reason for raising a tax. At the partnership, we supported, for example, congestion pricing to support the funding of the MTA. We supported when Mayor Bloomberg, after 9/11, had to raise the real estate tax to be able to bring back the city's services after the damages, rebuild Lower Manhattan. We supported that tax.
It's not that people with wealth don't want to help provide for the greater society, right? I don't mind my taxes going to fill the potholes and fix the road. I don't mind that my money goes to making the infrastructure stronger or strengthening our defense as a country. I don't have an issue with that. Just like they don't have an issue with their taxes being raised to support rebuilding after 9/11, to support, fixing transportation so that things run smoother, to fix these different problems that they're having, because that is a net positive for the community. They are going to benefit from that. It's not like the money is just being taken from them and they're not going to see any benefit from it at all. If my money gets taken in taxes to fix the road, to pay the person to fix the road and fix it properly, then that means that is a road I can drive down without my car getting destroyed. It is a net positive. But if you are just saying you want to take so that other people can get some free bugs and pods to live in so that you can spend the money. Here's the real part. So they can spend the money lining their own pockets through their organizations that they run. A lot of these different politicians, you got to understand, they're clicked in with all these different nonprofit organizations, these different organizations that get government contracts because it ends up cycling that money back to them. They use this whole network to get money from you so they can run it through, basically like laundering money, run it through a whole system, and then it goes back into their pockets. That's why a lot of these politicians are so rich, they're so wealthy, even though they're preaching to you about how they need to eat the rich and how the rich are the problem. They are the rich. It's just the whole system is rigged, and it's rigged so that regular schmegular everyday folks like you and I cannot come up. And those that do come up, more times than not, they're either going to be pillaged to the point where they come back down, or they become part of the elite class and start screwing over people like you and me so they can keep what they have. That's what ends up happening, and it's unfortunate.
So we were not knee-jerk anti-tax, but it was being clear that this is not punishment.
The whole thing of people chanting tax the rich at the rallies, which they did, and putting out a video is like, there's a little bit of it's punitive.
A little red meat there.
It is punitive, right?
Well, you have to eat healthy. You can't only eat red meat.
I mean, there is something a little punitive about it.
I think what it's a reflection of is that we're speaking about a city that's the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And 1 in 4 New Yorkers are living in poverty. We're speaking about people who can't afford their basics.
While your family is part of the super wealthy class. You're saying how people can't afford their basics, but you have more than you need. Your mom and dad have more than they need. Why aren't they garnishing what they have to help some of these people that are living in squalor? They never want to put their money where their mouth is. Zohran Mamdani would never have his parents dissolve all the money that they have so that other people could eat good. And they just have the bare minimum, the basics. No, they want to hoard all their money and then keep people like you and I from getting into that position with them because they have a crab in the barrel mentality. That's the fact. He is a crab in the barrel. He want to make sure that the rest of us stay at the bottom. Don't see it as we could all get out the barrel together. No, he wants y'all to sit over here thinking he's one of y'all. He's with y'all because he ate some food with his hands. I got hot sauce in my bag. I washed my greens in my bathtub. Just pandering to make you feel as though they're a regular schmegular guy like you and I, but no, he grew up with a diamond encrusted, not even a silver spoon, diamond encrusted spoon. These people cannot be trusted. They do not have your best interest at heart. Whenever you hear somebody talking about tax the rich, all this other stuff, if you look and you see that their net worth is very high, you see that their family legacy, they got money in the bank, understand they're full of cap. They don't actually stand on what they're talking about. They don't mean it. They're not true to this. They're just using that argument to get you to fight the battle for them, to keep you at the bottom. They have you fighting against you. They have you destroying the ladder so that you can't climb up out of there. That's what this is. Own nothing, be happy. Truth of the matter is we won't be happy. You can't be happy and own nothing. You say something they don't like, guess what? They can take it away. You said something we didn't like, so now we're going to close your bank account and seize all of your assets because you said something we didn't like. That's the society they want us to live in, where we shut the fuck up and we eat our food, our government issued bugs and 3D printed meat. That's what happens when you import people from systems like that. The country isn't just the borders, it's the people. Actually, let's detach ourselves from this. If you take Japan, if you move a bunch of folks from India to Japan, is it going to continue to be Japan or is it going to be Little India? You cannot import a bunch of people from other cultures and other ways of living and think that the landscape of that country is going to be the same, that the culture of that country is going to be the same. It's not. There has to be selectivity. There has to be a cap on how many people you allow to come into a country before that country is no longer recognizable, especially if you got people coming from failing countries where if you drop a pin, you know, the little Google Maps guy, you drop the Google Maps guy down just at random and all you see is trash and houses that look like they were built in biblical times. I'm sorry, you cannot have mass immigration, whether it's legal or illegal, into a country and think that that country is going to stay the same. It's not. If more people from outside of the Japanese lineage flood Japan, Japan will no longer be Japan. It will not be a place for Japanese people. There are some areas in Japan where if you go there, you will be hard pressed to see a Japanese person. And that's crazy. The fact that a lot of American started businesses are now ran by Indians. Understand, these folks do not have any vested interest in America. They are still beholden to their motherland, which will be India. They don't care about your ass. They don't care about my ass. They actually look down on a lot of Americans and talk crazy about us while they come over to our country and take our jobs and our resources. Folks on my tiny house video really were upset that I mentioned that. They're like, well, damn, you need to focus on the corporations. And while I do agree that the corporations are a huge problem, at the very least, if you know that you came over to this country on fraudulent basis and you know that you're raping the country for its resources and taking jobs away from hardworking Americans, if you know that you're doing this, at the very least, you could be respectful to us. At the very damn least, you doing all that, the very least you could have some decorum and some respect and not talk crazy out the side of your neck about the very people that created a system for you to even come over here. If it weren't for us, you'd still be over there in your country that you fled from, that you ran away from. And, I always found that so funny. They'll say motherland India or motherland this or motherland that, but they ass ain't there. And they were fighting tooth and nail to get that visa to come over here. I'm xenophobic if I say that. Anytime you push for something that is inherently good, like folks will find a way to demonize it. If you celebrate being a heterosexual, then they want to say that you're phobic this, you're phobic that. If you want to be, nationalistic, which I don't think there's anything wrong with being nationalistic for having pride in where you live. I would hope that you would have pride in where you live because that's the only way you can really better it. If you care about where you live, then you're going to want it to be better. If you have a nihilistic viewpoint of where you live, if you have a hateful view of where you live, then you're going to seek to destroy where you live and not take care of it. So I don't have an issue with nationalism in the sense of caring about where you live and having pride in your home. So if I say something that's nationalistic about Americans, okay, foundational Americans, I'm talking about those of us who our ancestors are buried here generations deep all the way through the transatlantic slave trade. If I talk about, the white folks who their ancestors came over on the Mayflower, wherever the case may be, or even the Chinese folks that came over here and built the railroads, because I think that they've shed blood here too. They had those folks that were here building the railroads. They have claim here too. The folks that would have been considered Mexican that were in Texas and California when that land was purchased, they are Americans here as well. I'm talking about USA Americans. The continent is America. Shut the fuck up. You know exactly what I mean. Be so for real here. We have a right to care about where we live and not want everybody to come over and kick us out of our own house. Where the hell are you going to go? If you are a foundational Black American, if you are a heritage white American, where are you going to go if they take over America? We don't have anywhere to go. You think they're going to go back to Europe? Guess what? If they try to go back to Europe, it's already conquered over there too. They have no home, just like we have no home outside of America. That's why I can't stand this issue that we have with each other. The foundational Black Americans and the heritage white Americans. We need to understand this is our house. We're over here infighting while foreigners are coming over and pillaging what is ours. We won't have anything to fight over. We won't. The replacement theory is not just with Black folks. It's not just with white folks. We're both getting replaced. And while we're getting replaced, we're sitting over here fighting each other over some bullshit. That's the part that's so sad. At a time where we need to be together and hold firm, we can't because we infight. And we have people like Matt Walsh that like to fan the flames. You got to understand, people like Matt Walsh, they don't actually care about heritage Americans. They don't actually care. They want to get their pockets lined as much as possible. They want to sow the seeds of division as much as possible. Because in a moment where Black folks and white folks, I'm talking about foundational Black Americans and heritage white Americans, were coming together after the election, during the election, it was folks like Matt Walsh that really tried to throw a wrench in that, where we had a lot of community coming together and uniting over the fact that we didn't want Kamala Harris to ruin the country. Then you had a Matt Walsh glorifying a case that really, in my opinion, has nothing to do with race and should not have been blown out of proportion and turned into a race war, a race battle. All for what? What was the purpose? The purpose wasn't to actually fix a problem. No, it was to sow those seeds of division between heritage white Americans and foundational Black Americans, because we were in lockstep together to reclaim our country. That's the part that is very infuriating to me. I don't have an issue with some people coming over here. That's not the problem, because there are folks that come over here and are valuable, and they don't come over here so they can have another foot somewhere else and then just take from us and then bring it back to their motherland, wherever they're from. There are some people that truly want to be in America because they want to assimilate. They want to be American. They want to be a part of America and really plant roots here. I'm not talking about those folks. I'm not talking about those folks that do that. I'm talking about the ones that come over here with one foot out the door and then also have a vitriol towards Americans. That's who I have an issue with. You coming over to my house, you got vitriol towards me in my own damn house? Are you crazy? Just like you had that Vivek dumbass coming over here saying anybody could be American. But I bet you if a bunch of Americans were to move, well, we wouldn't do that because reasons. But if a bunch of Americans were to flood over to India to take it over, you know his ass would not be, well, anybody could be Indian. You know he wouldn't do that. You know good and damn well he wouldn't do that. All these people talking about how America needs to be an open, free zone for everybody to come over. If we were to flood us foundational Black and heritage white Americans, if we were to go flood their motherland country, they'd have a problem with it. And I know that for a fact because these same folks are mad. Americans in general were going over to Mexico and buying up property over there. And they were getting mad about that. They were pissed. So you had all your folks hopping the border to come over here, but we come over there legally and buy up land, and now you're mad. Rules for thee, not for me. So if a bunch of Americans were to start flooding into India and taking over, like just so many of us, and now to be fair, their population is so damn high that even if a bunch of us went over there, we would still be massively outnumbered. But I digress. For the point, let's say a bunch of us, enough of us move over there to the point where if you go to India, you're more likely to see one of us than one of them. Do you think Vivek would be over here saying, welcome all? That he would be saying anybody could be Indian. Welcome to all the new Indians from America. Do you really think that? No, absolutely not. They would not. But for some reason, they expect us to do it. They expect us to be a free-for-all while they maintain their homeland. They would never allow what they want us to allow over there. Never. And that's what Americans need to understand. As much as we want to fight each other, we really need to be working together. Before you know it, and honestly, I think we're at that tipping point where if we don't get a handle of this, it'll be too late. Some might say it's already too late, but I don't want to be nihilistic. I don't think it's too late. We can still turn this thing around, but we can't do that if foundational Black Americans and heritage white Americans are infighting. We can't join hands, and you have all these Black folks that are foundational American, even though they don't want to claim it because of all the politicizing, even though that is their lineage, regardless if you claim it or not. If that is your lineage, it is what it is. Saying, well, we just white people this and white people that, and they support all these immigrants that would spit on them, that see them as mules for their agenda. Y'all be mad about being mules for the white man, but you're perfectly fine with being mules for everybody else. You're still a mule at the end of the day. You're still being used for their propaganda, for their betterment. Because guess what? Let's say they get what they want. These, illegal aliens, and then also the fraudulent immigrants that come over here technically legally, but through fraudulent means, and they come over here and commit fraud, and they steal, and they price you out of your market, and they take your jobs. When all is said and done, after you done helped them get what they want, do you think they're gonna remember your Black ass? No. They're gonna tell you to f*** off. after you done helped them destroy and take over your own damn house. Yeah, I don't know where the hell Mamdani's from. Wherever the hell he's from is not from here. His people are not from here. At the end of the day, he's not a real American. Never will be. Just like Hassan Piker, he's not a real American either. I don't give a damn if he was born here. That birthright citizenship has been bastardized all the way to hell. He wasn't raised here. He don't actually care about America. Anti-American propaganda while he sits his ass in America. He's Indian. Like, I was right. He is Indian. You could be Hindu or Muslim. They have parts of India that are Muslim. They have parts of India that are Hindu. He can go fuck himself. Zohran Mamdani. Take your ass back home. That's what you need to do. I think that's my rant for today. My blood pressure done went through the roof talking about this because it makes me so angry. We cannot survive as a country operating this way, where you have hardworking Americans that can't find jobs because they've outsourced everything, and then you have other Americans that feed into the propaganda that Americans don't want to work. Even though there are so many Americans that have been on the job market trying to find a job for so long and they are qualified, but they can't get a job because H-1B visas are taking them. Just because I'm pointing out the folks filling the jobs doesn't mean I'm not holding the companies accountable. They are treasonous. But what do you expect when the head of a lot of these companies are not American, not foundational to America? They're not heritage Americans. They have no loyalty to you and I. They have loyalty to their motherland. And that is who they're going to hire. That is who they're going to advocate for. I think my blood pressure has been raised enough. I need to go eat a snack and I need to go woosah because this conversation, I'm sorry, it just pisses me off.